Hey everybody, failed entrepreneur, putting in some hours in the basement, and I wanted to make a video today on something kind of looking like a corona bum right now, but anyway, a video on something that happened kind of over the weekend, last couple of days. Of course, it's coronavirus related, everything is right now, but the firing of that aircraft carrier admiral in that whole situation, right? So if you've been self-quarantined, I guess you have an excuse if you haven't heard. But so there was the captain, of the USS Theodore Roosevelt, big, huge nuclear-powered aircraft. His ship had been exposed to coronavirus. I guess there's a lot of info pieces of the puzzle, but I guess the ship, from what I saw, had been in Vietnam pretty recently, and some of the sailors went off for shore leave into Vietnam. This was a couple months ago when stuff was starting to kind of spread out from China, kind of the early stages of coronavirus madness. And so I guess that's where they got it from, because usually when you're on board an aircraft carrier in the middle of the ocean, it's hard to contract anything, even like syphilis, right? So I guess it came from Vietnam, and so some of the guys on the ship had been quarantined, had gotten the sickness. But the problem is, being on an aircraft carrier, it's hard to quarantine. You only have so much space. Everybody is crammed in there like they're in a can of sardines. People, you just can't call off sick really on a carrier because you got jobs and duties you're supposed to do every day. And so you're just constantly in everyone's space. You're constantly interacting with each other. And so I guess the virus spread pretty quickly, like we've seen with a lot of these cruise ships. Seriously, being on a ship in the middle of a pandemic is probably one of the, once the pandemic hits, worst places to be. And so it spread pretty quickly. And this admiral, guy's name, I think Brett Crozier is his name. Distinguished career, Navy vet, of course, all that stuff. Was frustrated because this virus was running through his ship. It was going to be combat ineffective. And they couldn't, do their main responsibilities if half the crew, or whatever, is sick in bed, coughing, hacking, and dying and everything. So this is not a good situation. And I guess either he hadn't received help, or his calls for help had been ignored, or he never asked for help and decided to take matters into his own hands. That's kind of where things are murky. But he decided, I guess, to write kind of a letter pleading with the Trump administration and the Navy to, I guess, basically kind of emergency dock his ship at like the nearest port, which happened to be in Guam. It wasn't like a scheduled stop, but basically he needed to get his men off ship, get them in self-isolation so this doesn't spread. And he basically kind of took matters into his own hands and wrote this letter, which somehow made its way into the media. Man, it happens a lot these days. A lot of leaks, not just leaky ships. I guess in this case it's one and the same. And it got into the press and kind of became I don't want to say a sore point, but there's a lot of bad news right now. Sky is falling type of thing. And here, it's even like, even the military is suffering from this, the Navy, and this, not a good look that this admiral, captain, I don't know if he's an admiral, but this captain had to, kind of go to the media for help outside like the normal communication channels, and again take matters into his own hands to try and rescue his crew and save his crew. So he did his docking, his men got offloaded, but then in the days afterwards he got sacked, he got fired by the Navy brass, and this also of course was all over the news. And like I said, not a good look. So there's a lot of, again, information out there on was this the right thing to do, and I don't know. It's a scuzzy thing to do. The guy's trying to keep his ship and crew intact, and everyone else is in self-quarantine, and again, it's running through his ship. What's the guy supposed to do? So those that are like defending him, this is a brave guy who kind of put his neck out there for his men, and that's what we want to see in our commanders and our leaders. And he put their safety first. Who can blame him? And the fact that he was fired afterwards, just kind of shows, how the Navy, treats its sailors and how it looks at them, and it doesn't care about their safety and stuff like that. And Trump, I guess, had no say in this. He's come out. He's not a fan of this guy and doesn't approve of what he did. But they're saying Trump didn't order him fired. He just approved of the Navy's kind of recommendation. Did Trump tell them to fire this guy? I have no idea. I hope not. I hope he's got better things to do right now. But it's, like I said, not a good look, not good optics. Guy probably shouldn't have been fired. I don't agree with it. And again, if I was on that ship, you're damn straight I want my captain putting me and my friends first, making sure that we're safe and healthy. But the other side, I guess, is saying they're upset because I guess he didn't go through the normal channels, and leaking to the media isn't the way you're supposed to communicate. And I guess he went to the media first before he went to the Navy. And so, some people who were supporting this guy's firing are saying that, he didn't follow the chain of command, I guess. Who cares? Right now, that's not really, I think anyone cares too much about that. But regardless, the guy's fired. There's a video you can see of him kind of leaving the ship, and all of his men are up there, on deck cheering him and supporting him, which would make sense. This guy, lost his job for his guys, and but that's all over the news. And like I said, it's not a good look. And it turns out now, I guess the guy was justified, because it turns out he also is infected with the coronavirus, and he's in his own kind of like self-quarantine now, and hopefully he turns out okay. But just kind of a really screwy situation, and in the middle of all this, and like what isn't affected, and you think the military could get its ducks in a row and take care of itself, but like they're tripping over each other. It seems like they don't know what to do, and it would be kind of a no-brainer. If you got a ship full of sick men, you got to take care of those guys and do whatever you can to try and guarantee their safety. And the Navy just looks kind of callous. They look kind of ignorant. They look like assholes, basically, firing this guy who put the safety of his men first. So it's I don't know, in the grand scheme of things, probably not that big a deal. But like I said, it just kind of shows there's a lot of chaos going on right now, and it's kind of interesting, strange times. Everyone is dealing with this in their own way, and it's unfortunate. This guy, his career's over, and well, his life maybe. I hope he's fine, but when you're older, I guess this thing isn't good for you. And so, just kind of my take on the situation, and don't agree with it, and wish it didn't happen. And it'd be, how much better would we feel if maybe the Navy had this guy's back and did everything they could to try and support these guys, or maybe evacuate these guys. But instead, by sacking him, they just look callous. They look like a bunch of jerks. And, hopefully that isn't how the military in general is treating this. But again, you can also see the other side. You can't have, commanders, going off the rails and doing their own thing. You can't be a cowboy or nothing like that. I don't think writing a letter, an open letter when you're desperate is going rogue. But again, I'm not in the military, and I can see how, higher ups may not appreciate kind of being cut out of important discussions if that's what really happened. I think probably this guy's pleas were ignored. And so out of frustration, what else am I going to do except go to the media and kind of call these people out for, letting us on the line, or, off on our own, or whatever it is, whatever the analogy is. I'm sure there's an analogy in there somewhere. So anyway, that's my thought. Say, if you want to leave a comment, right, leave them in the comments below, and let me know what you think. And if you're in the Navy, is this a Do you support the action the commander took, or do you support the Navy? And you got to follow procedures and stuff like that. Hopefully, the guy makes a speedy recovery. Hopefully, those sailors do too, and hopefully, we can put this all behind us and get back to normal, and just have the Navy running into submarines running into fishing ships and stuff. Wouldn't that be great to go back to the way things used to be back in the Never mind, that's old news. No one cares. All right, I gotta go. I got things to do. I know you do too. And failed entrepreneur. I need to shave. I'll catch you later. Out.